Hello, young people. Eyes here, mouths closed. We've got a lot to do today. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 options that you have for your final assignment for our project on genocide. What we want you to do is to apply what you've learned and the research you've conducted in a creative way. So, we're giving you 5 possible activities that you can complete for this final assignment. You're going to choose one of those activities to complete this week, and we will go over all 5 different types of assignments in a moment. Once you've completed that work, you're going to submit it to both Miss Flanagan and myself by Sunday, May the 31st. Now, because this is a longer assignment, we're both giving you all week to work on it, but because we're giving you the extra time, this will count as a double assignment. It will count as 2 assignments, and it will count for 2 assignments in both classes, both global and composition. So this is an important assignment. We want you to take some time on it and to really do a great job. So let's look at the 5 different assignments that you can pick to complete this task. The first is to write a poem or a rap about genocide. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can go about doing this. You could choose to write a free verse poem about genocide. Free verse poem, to review what we studied in the second unit, is a poem that is free from the usual rules of poetry, and it focuses on the artistic expression and feelings and emotions that you have. This means you are not forced to rhyme, or you are not forced to follow a specific scheme, either from lines or verses or rhyme schemes. All the rules that exist in a free verse poem are rules that are created by the poet themselves, and are usually put in place as a way to sort of emphasize the feelings and emotions that they have. Now, if you choose to do a rhyming poem or a rap, you're going to want to review rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme is using repeating similar sounds in a pattern. So it could be AABB, where the first 2 lines rhyme and then the second 2 lines rhyme. This is called couplets. It could be an alternative rhyme scheme, ABAB, where you alternate rhyming lines. The first and the third rhyme, the second and the fourth rhyme. It could be what we call enclosed rhyme, where rhymes are enclosed in other rhymes. So the scheme would be an ABBA. Or it could be irregular, XAXA or AXXA, in which the X lines do not rhyme, but the A lines do rhyme. You might want to also include rhythm, which is when we accent or emphasize parts of words, syllables, or words in a line to create what we call meter. That is the rhythm or the flow that you feel when you read poetry. So first option, to create a poem or a rap, at least 24 lines. Second option is to write a fictional story. Now, when we talk about fictional stories, there's a few things you need to remember to think about. First is, all stories have a setting, a time, a place, and an environment. When it takes place, where it takes place, and the sort of feeling and mood of that place. Now, obviously, if you're writing it about a genocide, then these setting aspects need to be connected to that genocide. All stories have characters. Characters have physical, mental, and emotional characteristics, meaning we know what they look like, what they think, and how they feel. All stories have conflict. Without conflict, a story is simply a shopping list. This can be external conflict, person versus person, society, nature, or it could be internal conflict, person versus self. Stories also follow a plot, and that plot is diagrammed this way in what's called a plot diagram. It starts with exposition, which is where you set the scene. Then we have a longer rising action section in which the conflict gets greater and greater throughout the story. It all comes together in the climax, the greatest moment of conflict for a character. Falling action, where we start to see a resolution or the main conflict comes together. And then the resolution, which is the ending of the story, where we get an idea of what life might be like after the story has been completed. So option number 2 is to create a short story about genocide. Try to follow this plot diagram and include these 3 aspects of a short story. Option 3 is to write a film review. Now, we've given you suggestions as to what films you can read or watch. You can see that in the Read First document that I posted, or in the slideshow that Miss Flanagan has posted. When you write a film review, there are these 5 things that you want to include. First is a plot summary. You want to start with a brief summary of the film, basically just saying what you saw and what the film is about. Then you move to your overall impressions, meaning how did the film make you feel emotionally. This is the reaction that the film created. Third, you want to look at purpose. What was the reason that the film was created? Was it created for entertainment? Was it created for education? Was it created to send a specific message? Fourth, you want to look at the deeper meaning of the film. When we talk about deeper meaning, we often talk about the theme. So what was the theme that the film provided? Finally, one thing that you want to include throughout your film review in each of these 4 sections are examples. Think of the film as a text, and things that happen in the film should be used as textual support to support your thoughts in these first 4 sections. So it might be easiest to think of these as 4 separate paragraphs, and in each of those 4 paragraphs you are going to provide examples as evidence from the film. That's option 3. Option 4 is to do a drawing or a painting about genocide. Now the key here is to sort of not necessarily create an accurate depiction of what happened in the genocide, though you can do that, but to really more focus on the emotions that were evoked in this. So there are a few elements of art that we could talk about to try to enhance your artistic skills. One is line. Line are these drawings that you see here. They can be thin, they could be thicker, they could be in different shapes or circles, but line is usually where art starts. Then we talk about shape and form. Shape is here, the different sort of circles, triangles, squares, the shapes that you would use when you create art. Form is whether or not you make those 3-dimensional. Maybe you turn that circle into a sphere. Maybe you turn the triangle into a pyramid or the square into a cube. Next, I want to talk about color. You want to use different types of colors to express different types of emotions. We have here on the side what we call cooler colors, your greens, your blues, your purples. And we have on this side warmer colors, reds, oranges, yellows. Cooler colors are a little bit more calm. Warmer colors are a little bit more active and angry. You also want to look at texture. In your picture, are you trying to provide smooth or rough images? Harder or softer images? Are the images bumpy or jagged? Do they have sort of a woven texture to it? This gives it more of a feeling, even though the viewer can't literally feel the image that's being drawn. Then we want to look at space on that paper, on that image. Where are things located? Are they smaller in the distance or larger up front? Does the image fill the whole paper or just a specific part of the paper, and why? Does it show perspective, dimensions in that? And are shapes overlapping, or are they all going to be 2-dimensional? Finally, we have what's called value. This is the range from light to dark. So you might want to think about using darker images if you're portraying a darker event, or lighter images if you're presenting a sort of more joyful, lighter event. The value, the range that you're showing here, should be reflected in the emotion that you're trying to create. So option 4 is to create a drawing or a painting about genocide. The final option is to create a Flipgrid video. Ms. Flanagan has provided a link on the slideshow to the Flipgrid. You're going to create a video that answers the question, who is responsible for genocide? Now that is an open-ended question, meaning it has a complex answer that you can develop in your response. And there's also no one correct answer to this question. There could be many different answers or many different options even in your answer. Think about what we've done so far and some of the research that you've looked at, your background research, your specific research, the biographical research. All of this information can be brought together in your video. The easiest way about thinking about responding to this video is to think about it as a form of argument. You are arguing your answer to this question. And when you make an argument, you should use the elements of argumentative essay that we've discussed. Your introduction, you should use in a speech form body paragraphs where you're supporting your idea with any evidence you may be able to come up with. Think about possibly including a counterclaim that you then overrule and concluding it all in one big summary at the end. So option 5 is to make a 4 to 5 minute Flipgrid video which answers the question, who is responsible for genocide? So we have the 5 options: the Flipgrid video, the drawing or the painting, writing a film review, writing a fictional story, or writing a poem or a rap. Of these 5 options, we want you to select one and to work on it this week and complete it by Sunday, May 31st, to submit it to both Miss Flanagan and to myself for an assignment that will count as a double assignment. If you have any questions, reach out to us on Remind or email or Google Classroom and let us know what your issues are. We can also talk about this during office hours in either Miss Flanagan's or my office hours, or both if you choose to do so. Silent solo working time. Everybody get to work.